Good afternoon, welcome to the Market Wrap number 147. Stuart Williamson here at the helm. Our weekly roundup of news in the UK residential marketplace that will help buyers, clients, prospective buyers make buying decisions. Please do like, subscribe, share and comment. And if you want more topics covered than the ones I cover, let me know within reason. Okay, this week we're going to have new eco rules, mean that it could be better to knock down your house than actually upgrade it. Secondly, we've got a building confidence in the residential sales market. It's looking more positive against quite a negative backdrop. And thirdly, is it true that houses in the UK are turning into hobbit holes? And will we all be living in those in the future? Check it out at the end, you'll find out. Okay, landlords could find it cheaper to demolish properties and rebuild them instead of spending thousands of pounds on eco upgrades to meet the government's new green targets, a trade body representing British house builders has said. No matter what some buy-to-let investors do to overhaul energy inefficient homes, they may never get them to EPC A, B or C. The government is currently consulting on targets which require landlords to get their rental properties up to an energy performance certificate rating of C or higher by 2028, as we know. Steve Turner of the Home Builders Federation said it is extremely difficult and costly to bring an older home up to the efficiency standard of a new build. For some, knocking down and starting again will actually be cheaper. Data shows for properties in parts of the country with low house price levels, retrofitting costs could represent a quarter of the house's total value, making it financially eye-watering endeavour for those owners. The warning comes as many new landlords are currently rushing to comply with the current EPC certification guidelines, when Michael Gove, the Levelling Up Secretary, is actually going out to look at new ones, and it could be overhauled. I mean, I phoned my local EPC people in Vale of Glamorgan, and they haven't got a Scooby-Doo, so it doesn't surprise me at all that people don't know what they're doing. Evidence presented to the Environmental Audit Committee in 2021 suggests that in Northern England, the cost of investment required to upgrade all homes to EPC C, including the installation of heat pumps, was £23,900 per property. The figure, which was calculated before we've had the recent bout of inflation, was already double the affordability limit for landlords that the current government was using for their consultation paper, more likely 33,000. The estate agency trade body Property Market has previously warned that the overall cost to meet net zero through retrofitting could be a lot higher than government predictions. But of course it will be. You know, it's like the Channel Tunnel, it's like HS2, things are always coming a lot higher because you don't know what's out there. If you knew what was out there, you'd be successful already. A report by Localis, commissioned by the trade body in 2021, found a stark inequity in the cost of reaching net zero across the UK. In Burnley, bless them, Lancashire, 78% of properties built over the last 10 years require retrofitting to get them close to the band C. However, the median house price in Burnley is £99,000 in 2021, meaning retrofitting would take between 25 and 30% of the house's overall value. Meanwhile, in Kensington and Chelsea, the median house price is 1.3 million, means it's just 1.8% of the house's value. Close to 13 million houses have EPC below D and E. Now, if you're not renting out, you say, okay, I'm not going to do my house up. What are the government going to do? Well, apparently what they're going to do is start increasing tax that you pay and increase the level of interest you're paying. Isn't that crazy? While 85% of new builds have an A or B energy efficiency, less than 4% of existing dwellings do, according to House Builders Federation. It's a mess. Okay, but let's talk about our next topic. The number of homes offered for sale in the UK has jumped over the past year in spite of falling house prices. So how's that? Basically, homeowners are becoming more confident in the market, the mortgage market stability, and sellers are showing more realism. So we're getting back to how it should be. There were an average of 25 homes being offered per estate agent in March, up from 14% for the same month last year. That works out an actual increase of 78%, according to Zoopla. The demand, which is measured by the site's researchers, as people making active inquiries on a property was down by 43%, the number of sales subject to contract only fell by 14%. That suggests that transactions will hit 500,000 this year for the first 6 months, which is using HMRC data and the historic record of agreed sales reaching completion. The positive indicators come amid a gloomy picture on house prices. I mean, Nationwide is saying across the board we've had a fall of, I think it's 3.1% on an annualized basis up to March. Okay, but that's a general figure. You know, it's the biggest drop since 2009, fair enough. But I mean, it's looking at places that went up by 30% that have now come down by 10%, and rightly show they should have. So it's not all locations. Richard Donald, Executive Director at Research at Zoopla, said nominal house price growth was likely to be flat over the next 10 years generally. But there will be pockets of positivity in there. You know, if it's gone up too much, it'll come down. There will be structural pressures to keep people moving because they have to, just out of need. That will keep the market going. And at the same time, sellers are being more negotiable. Apparently, the average house discount over the last month was 4%, or about £14,000. But what do they care? You know, on average, they've made £45,000, I think, on it over the last 3 years. And if they're giving away a £15,000 discount, as long as the one they're moving on to does the same, it doesn't matter. So there's some realism coming into the market, and people aren't saying, well, it's not 0.5% interest anymore. So people are starting to be more realistic, and I think that's what we all need to be. We need to be realistic about what rate of interest we're actually going to pay going forward. Looking specifically at the breakdown of the market, is most activity was in the first time buyers and the first steppers. Basically, I think they're saying, I might as well just move because paying rent is so expensive. I'm just as well paying a high mortgage. So, you know, as rents have gone up, a lot of renters are feeling that they're being forced into it. And this is a comment Mr. Donald at Zoopla also echoed. You know, a more stable mortgage market is meaning people are more confident, it's not going to go crazy, and it's tempting people back into the market. And rates have fallen this week. Average rates on a 5-year fix have fallen to 5.03 from 5.63. That's a 0.6% fall. And 2-year fixes have fallen from 5.79 to 5.33. If you're actually wealthy enough to need a loan between 2 million and 10 million, then Barclays have dropped that rate by nearly 1.5%. So if you're borrowing a lot of money, you get it even cheaper. But all the big houses, HSBC, TSB, NatWest, Halifax, Virgin, all cut their rates this week. Small lenders and big lenders. So there's a lot of positivity out there. So what are people doing? They understand they must move. They understand they want to move. They've forgotten that it's a case of interest rates are super high. People are starting now to just say, well, I'm going to deal with it. That's just the way it is. And that is the way it should be. You know, it's never the wrong time to buy. It's never the right time. You just need to look at your circumstances and get on with it if you feel it suits. To close, Mr. Donald said he expected transaction activity to continue increasing after Easter, though there is economic uncertainties, especially the latest Saudi oil production cut that's going to put inflation up again. Mr. Donald says the main risk is around some kind of macro deterioration, such as stickier inflation, meaning rates have to stay higher for longer, and that is the truth. So, are we all going to be sharing with Bilbo Baggins? Apparently house prices are shrinking as living rooms are now 27% smaller than they were in 1970. Newly built houses have steadily reduced in size since the 70s as more developers are cramming more properties into the dwindling number of plots that are available. There's not enough planning out there being approved. Experts are blaming the planning rules, which have not changed at all since 1947. So that's what the problem is that there's not enough land being released, so the plots that builders have got are very small, and are trying to make their profit of sticking as much stuff into it as possible. The average living room in 1950 was 237 square feet. It was actually grown by 1970 to 268 square feet, but now it's back down to 195. And that's using a survey of 450 houses by the property firm Spring for the housing market analyst Propalt. Average master bedroom shrank by 16% to 169 square feet, which I might point out, having lived in Hong Kong, is huge by their standards. Meanwhile, the average kitchen built in 2020 was 142 square feet compared to 171 in 1960. It's particularly noticeable, according to a gent called Mr. Fuller, who's an estate agent in London, on new build flats, because he said in the 60s and 70s new build flats were quite big, decent rooms, decent sizes, but then builders brought in the concept of open plan being sophisticated. Okay, now that's all developers do, is open plan, and it makes small houses look bigger, makes them work, and means they can get more on their profit margin. Now the Centre for Cities, a think tank, I'd love to have that on my card, the Centre for Cities, recently criticised the UK's outdated planning regime, which it said was adopted in 1947 and hasn't changed since. It warned the quality of new stock had diminished as the post-war era progressed, with a trend towards smaller properties and plots and inferior materials. I mean, I don't agree with that. If you look at some of the builds we work with, every time they do a new build, it's more luxurious, it's more quality than the last. Look at Prosperity and Broadoaks, it's fantastic. The stuff they've recently done in Birmingham has been great. Soft closed drawers, soft closed doors, solid wood doors, quality splashbacks, metal housings, all the electric charging points. So it's a very nice quality product, and I've seen that across a lot of the builders. So I think if you're looking at, yes, the very low end builders, you are getting that, but not across the board. So that's it for this week. Do like, subscribe, pass on, and hope you enjoyed it. Suggestions, comments if you wish. Thanks very much. Cheerio. Bye bye.